The sport of off-road racing is full of incredible stories, wild characters, legends, and even villains. We cover it all on offroadracer.com, but there's only so much we can put down in an article. Sometimes we have to dig a little deeper, and that means sitting down with some of our industry's most influential characters and hitting record. Welcome to the Off-Road Racer podcast, a Mad Media production, made exclusively for offroadracer.com. Each month, we'll go beyond the dirt into the homes, shops, and lives of the most interesting and game-changing icons of our sport. You'll hear about their history, success, failure, and everything in between as we pull back the curtain and reveal the stories of their lives. I'm your host, Matt Martelli, and this is the Off-Road Racer podcast. I'm Matt Martelli. This is the Off-Road Racer podcast, and I'm here with one of my new friends, Tom Coons. What's up, Tom?
I'm just here trying to live the dream.
Yeah, well, you're living the dream with a first place finish at the California 300. That's a good start to the dream.
Yeah, all the cards went our way that day.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how wild of a race that was in a 10 car in particular. What was that like? You did the first 2 laps, right?
Yeah, Justin Berry, a buddy of mine, helps me with the longer races, and we had it mapped out. We were going to qualify first, and that went sideways. I backed off from the group. I think I was second to last on the qualifying visual lap, and somehow I wanted to go up that the little rock hill before that, kind of like the finish line area right there. Caught a rock and threw a power steering belt. So I just went directly back to camp, and I'm like, okay, let's get a belt. So I had a belt on the car, pulled that off. Well, that didn't fit. And granted, this car that we had, we'd both put like 20 miles on this thing out in Lucerne.
So brand new.
Brand new. I mean, it's brand new to me car.
Yeah.
It's been around the block for a few good racers. So we didn't know. There was just, let's go out and drive this car. Anyway, we start 7th on the 10 cars, and I've got all these Mad Razors and Polars and Can-Ams and stuff behind me. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't like just cruise this first lap and check it out. I've been pre-running since Tuesday, and I know this course.
Yeah.
And you're just dodging rocks all day long.
Yeah.
Beautiful course, though. Take off. I picked off my first car, the Toyota sponsored car, up in the rock section. And the whole race was great because I really didn't get in too much dust in the first lap. It just worked out to where there's a little bit of wind, and I can get on this guy, and then all of a sudden I see this guy over here and this guy over here, and then I thought I saw somebody pull in to the pits, the remote pit, and it was just clean air, and like, well, shit, I think I'm set in first place, which I wasn't. So I just laid down some good laps, consistent, or the first lap came in. Before I came into the pits, I'm heading out of Slash X, coming back to home base here, and doing about 98, and the car just gets out of control, and I'm left, right, come out of the groove, and I'm going through some 6 foot, 7 foot, just bushes with big old berms at the bottom, trying to get the car slowed down. I think we took a couple sticks and a couple tires, came through, and got a quick drink of water, got 10 gallons of fuel, went back out. Going through Hodge pit, and didn't go in the pit. All of a sudden, I'm at the end at Hodge Road there, and I feel the car just kind of sluggish and it's pulling to the left. I'm like, shit, I think I got a flat tire.
Yeah.
I pop up on the deal, and I'm like, 1099, I got a flat. I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to be changing the tire. Just as I'm about ready to pull my helmet off, I hear, we're right behind you. Well, my 2 guys that were running back and forth between, they were right there. I'm like, cool. So I get out, I'm starting to change the tire, getting everything done, get back in the car, they throw a tire on, go back out, and come in second lap. Justin gets in the car, we put him full of fuel, we change a couple tires because, they got this one going down, that one going down, I got sticks sticking out the side. Justin comes in, second lap, like, we need to pull him in because I remember that right tire looked like it had half the tread for me doing 2 laps on it.
Yeah.
He comes in, and there's nothing left of the rear tires. They're just gone.
Shredded.
So we throw 2 more tires on. He takes off, goes out, and he's dicing all the fast razors. Braden Baker's up there now, and Sierra Romo, and I guess him and Sierra were just going back and forth. He comes in for his last lap, and I'm like, dude, we need to check his tires again. Like, bring him in, and those tires are gone. Like, I don't know. He's just ripping up these hills, and just the Barstow rocks just go through tires.
Oh, it's gnarly. All the embedded rock there. Yeah.
So I think the race, we had one official flat. That was my flat. He never got a flat, but other than in the line getting to the podium, we went through like 8 tires.
Wow.
And just smoked them just because we're two-wheel drive and we're just ripping up the hills.
Yeah, the two-wheel drives eat rear tires on that course. We see it in every class. Yeah. In the trucks, like same thing. Like trucks are coming in, there's no tread left on their tires. It's a gnarly one, but that's cool, man. And so you just got that car, and that's a Jimco that's been around for a while. Do you know the history of that car?
So Green Army had that car, and I guess they won the 1,000 in it.
Nice.
I'm told. It did have like a jack button and a car would lift up. It doesn't have that anymore because it's just weight. Justin, my buddy, got me a good deal on that car, and I have had a Penhall single-seater before. That's the only way I could know that I could actually compete with these young kids in the Alumacrafts is to get lighter. So I got that Penhall super light, and it was fast. It just didn't have the travel that the newer cars have.
Yeah.
So it would limit me in all the proving grounds and all the big whoops. I'd beat them everywhere else but that area, and then I'd just get passed. So
yeah.
But Carrie Penhall, she supported me through that. I love her and Jerry. Texting them, hey, did this. They're all oh great. I've never met them. I used to watch their Bruce, doing circle track out in San Bernardino and stuff. Sure. So I'm like, this is badass. I mean, grew up with a Penhall name. Now I'm driving a Penhall car. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And so then, obviously you guys don't just usually walk into a 10 car. Like, how'd you get in off-road racing?
So it's kind of a long story. It's a cool story though. Moved to Havasu. Buddy of mine did some racing. Went to a couple of the races. Like, hey, you want to ride in the car? And it's 5 Unlimited. So we go to Park 425, and it's pretty intimidating. I mean, for somebody that's never raced or been in that kind of stuff.
Right.
We started off and in the dark because we're 5 Unlimited, and we almost rolled the first, a couple miles. We were up on the nose, shit's coming through, hitting our lens. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Anyway, we're passing cars that are upside down off to the side of the road. We had no clutch, we lost the brakes. We had no brakes, no clutch. And then we came into Midway, which is about 80 miles. They said our right rear was about ready to fall off. So that was the end of our day. 4 days later, I go to Palm Springs area. I find this 3000 car, and I didn't know what classes were anything. It just looked cool. And I'm like, that's a cool car. Picked that car up. And within a month from the 425 to the Mint 400 in 2017, I got talked into signing that thing up for a sportsman class. I threw some 8105 numbers on it and went out, completed the 2 laps, and I got freight trained by a bunch of trophy trucks. There's out there pre-running, which I had no clue. I'm like, all of a sudden I'm hearing all this shit behind me. I pull over, and then I get back in. There's another one. So it was pretty exhilarating racing, and after that I'm like, okay, I'm in, and I just pretty much quit working. I'm like, I can always work later, but I can't race later.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm going to give this a couple years, and I went all in. I learned, I knew nothing about transaxles, Ecotech motors. I mean anything with a car. I'm mechanically inclined. I can fix just about anything and drive anything. I've heavy equipment operator. Put all my money into that 3000 car. Won several races and had fun with that. And then I saw the 3000 class kind of declining.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got to find another car. And then the next step for me was a class 10. I don't want to go backwards. The 1600 guys, God bless them, they get out in there, their whole body's just numb from like getting beat up.
They're gnarly.
So I found a car in Havasu single-seater, and I'm like, this is the only way I can really compete. 2-seater, I'm not, I need to be lightweight to dice with the Illumicrafts and the young kids out there. So I got the car, got it super lightweight, competed, podium several times. I think it was King of the Hammers a couple of years ago that we were on a winning run, qualified great. We were gaining on Eberts, come in. I got out of the car. Justin got in the car, and he had a bolt. We had a bolt come out at the shifter. Took us out, put us back to like 7th spot. But that would have been our fame moment right there of like, yeah, we know what racing is, and Tom Coons and Justin Barry, but we missed that. So here we are, 300. Got that thing sitting right there. If you can sign for me. That was awesome.
Yeah, and especially in a 10 car, it's a rough race, it's a technical race. Like, it's one that you get to the end of that race and you're like, hey, I earned this, right?
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool, and congratulations.
Yeah, it's kind of fitting because I started with the Mint 400. That was my first race.
Yeah.
And I actually met you walking around. It was probably contingency. Didn't even know what contingency was, back then.
Yeah.
I was just walking around, and I don't know why I was talking, but I'm like, I think that was the dude that runs this thing, and I'm telling everybody, like, yeah. But yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I got a trophy back then, and I got one now, and it's like the series is just it's way up here in racing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Our team works our ass off, to make it special. I mean, starting at the Mint 400 is pretty much the deep end, right?
Yeah.
So once you get through that, you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is what this is about, and I'm glad you're racing the other races with us, But that's a really cool experience. But yeah, you've had some first place wins. You won Battle at Prim too, right?
Yeah. Finally did the last Battle of Prim. I thought it was going to be the last race there, but it looks like their snowers signed up again.
Yeah.
I love the short stuff. I'm not made or built for the long races.
Yeah. I
could never do the 1,000 by myself. I mean, a lot of coffee possibly, but it just bores me to go out there and do laps. I like to go as fast as I can, or think of different strategies. How am I going to get to the end? And the longer races are just like, the 500, 600 miles. When I'm sharing it, that's fine. But your car, these cars are not built for that long endurance at wide open.
Yeah.
They're just not. So you just got to think through, each race you're thinking, you're planning, and you try to, no matter how you do plan, it's kind of like I was telling Justin the last race, I'm like, dude, we can plan this thing to the T, and it's going to go to, sideways.
Yeah.
And he's all, you can't, because I told him, I go, hey, I'm going to come in the first lap and get a drink of water and get some fuel.
Yeah.
I go, I'm going to be 88 pounds lighter out there, 75 miles. I go, I've been doing this since Tuesday, pre-running the whole thing. I go, and that 75 miles kicks your butt, in a pro. And he said, no, you just got to go. I'm like, no, I'm going to be lighter. I'm going to be faster. I'll make up 30 seconds, a minute out there that I can come in here, get a quick splash. He'd look the car over, make sure it's all good. And it kind of worked out that way.
It's smart though too, because like if you can take yourself out at any point, right? And if you rush things, you can take yourself out, right? And two, checking up on the car every lap is smart.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's the hardest thing I think about desert racing is like letting the race come to you and not just, over pushing, right? Because there's an edge, and you got to find that edge and know where that's at, and be able to like kind of hang back a little bit, right? And then turn it up when you need to turn it up, if you need to turn it up, There could be the race situation where you get around fourth lap and nobody's there, and you're like, let's just cruise it in and not get a flat, not damage the car. And that's a win, man.
Yeah. Last year, King of the Hammers, Class 1 car, I let a buddy of mine that helps me with that car do the first lap. Because I had planned to race my 10 car. Well, I had the same rock that a few other guys hit, like a mile into the course. My tire went that way, and I was out in my 10 car, so that was a waste. But that Class 1 car, when I got in the car, we were already sitting third, and everybody else was broke. So I'm like, okay, let's go do a 100-mile loop. And that was the boringest race I've done so far in that car. It's like you want to go fast and you want to get up there, but they're already checked out, they're gone, and you're already guaranteed a podium. So you're just like doing laps, and that's I think I like taking the first go at it and see what happens, and get it going that way, and then turn the car over to somebody else. But
yeah. No, it's smart. I mean, knowing where your strengths and weaknesses are, I think is smart. I mean, you see it in strategy with other drivers where they're like, hey, this guy's good at technical stuff. This guy's good at night stuff, like whatever it is. And they put that guy in accordingly.
Yeah. We were at one race that we had a Joker run out in the Moore race, and Justin was going to get in the car, and we decided to do the Joker at the last deal. Well, it wasn't on our GPS, and it was dark, and we had minimal lights on the car, and he goes through there. I think he lost first gear because he jammed first gear in there and just smoked first gear. But we were actually lucky to get a third place out of that. But yeah, I sent him through the dark. I'm like thinking back, like, all right, get the Joker loop out because you can see the markings, but when the dark is like everything was gone. So he's up in this canyon, just pretty much lost.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Been there, done that. But when you started getting into this, what do you think why was it so attractive to you?
It's crazy. There's so many people out there that just go out, Saturday, Sunday, go out and they'll go to the bunker bar or whatever and just go cruise around. If you get in a race car and you have the drive of competitiveness, like I've been competitive all my life. With sprinting as a kid, I was a sprinter. I wasn't the long distance kind of guy. Once you get in a race, I mean, I was in the passenger seat of the 5 Unlimited car, and I'm sitting there like, I got out. I'm like, I need to do this. Like, I know I can do this. I can operate just about anything that has even sticks or steering wheel. And the Mint 400. I mean, after that race, I blew half my exhaust off. Like, I don't know. There's only 2 laps because we were running Sportsman, but I got a picture where one of the tubes is just gone, and it's like they call it the blurp because it was coming blurp 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 blurp. But once you get out there and you're dicing with people and you pass people, and it's just like the adrenaline level is way up there. So it's like every month and a half for me. I do have 2 cars, a Class 1, which is an older Tatum car, and then this Jimco car. I try to have at least one of them ready to race at any time in that area. Sometimes I'll try to do both cars, but it's a very expensive sport. Like I said, I quit working to do this. I can always work later, so we'll see where this goes. Like some of these 15, 16-year-old cars, I just got out of Chase Mankin's Pro R last weekend at Laughlin, and I know that course, and they're like, Jimmy Nagel, my nephew, Nixon Nagel's dad, great family, great kid. He'll be an up and coming star.
Oh yeah.
They're like, hey, a buddy of mine, they need a co-driver, and we know you won it at Laughlin. I'm like, yeah. They're well, you can qualify and drive. I'm like, oh, cool, I can qualify the car. All right. And then it got to where they weren't doing qualifying, and I'm like, all right, I'll still go because I can probably help him out. I know that course backwards, and I've gone both ways in that course. So, I get in that car and we're ripping around and passing people, and we're lining up next to a Class 10 buddy of mine that I race against. He's in a little Can-Am, and I'm like, dude, you see his arm twitch over there with that flag? I go, we got to get in front of them. We can't get behind them. And Chase was on dimes. He was just corner, and we got second place, third overall, I think, and with a stock motor.
Nice.
I guess Mark Queen's building another motor, and that's all that kid needs is a motor, and he's got it.
Yeah. No, Chase has been, he's been doing well for a while, moving up the ladder, another youth racer that started with us, which is really cool to see. Well, what was that like riding with him? Did you like riding with him?
Yeah, no, I much prefer a steering wheel in my hand, but there was like some sections that he's going, I'm like, yeah, I would have done the same thing, and it felt the same. I'm like, okay, I can just sit here, hold on to the screen, and I got towards the last 4 laps and I was quiet, and I just call out a couple of the little areas, and I'm like, we got a dip and then a right or flat right he was automatic after that. I showed him the course, and a couple of sections at the beginning he's letting off. I'm like, no,
Stay in
a little dust, go. I know where we're going, just go. And it was awesome. But it's these different courses. I live for the short course stuff.
Yeah.
Glen Helens and all those, and I like as fast as you can go, quickest time to get there. So
nice. Well, I mean, thus far, besides the Mint, what's been your favorite race that you've done?
I do love the Caliente race. I mean, like I said, the Laughlin, the Prim, those are probably my top ones.
Yeah.
What's kind of funny is, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I had my Penhall, just took it all the way to King, put new shocks on it, did a quick little test on it, and then I raced for Cody Moore out there. And exactly where I pitted for you on this race is where I skied that car. I remember taking off. We went off on 2s, and I remember looking down at the gauge, and I was doing like 64. I look up, all of a sudden there's a big roller. The car just landed, crushed the deal in, and I have full video of like aerial video, side video. It's pretty cool. I guess I got out of the car. They flipped it back over. I tried to start it and kept going.
Right.
But I remember getting out of the ambulance. I dinged my head, and I guess I don't remember any of that. But it was kind of weird camping. I camped right where
you crashed.
Yeah. So we put the car back together, and I immediately I'm like, I need suspension. And then SDG was, I heard about SDG, and went and took it to them, sent them the shocks in, gave them all the weights, and put the car on. And it's crazy how there's a lot of different setups on suspension. The car at the beginning, you can push the car at the front. Mm-hmm. Well, SDG, get it back, and you couldn't push it at all. I'm like, oh, I hope this thing works. And yeah, it worked.
Yeah, SDG, those guys are great dudes, good friends of ours. And, they came originally from the Fox camp and John Marking, and, they definitely, Duncan and everybody, they know what they're doing, and it's nice too, because setup is so important, so yeah, once you go to like the experts, it's like so nice to be able to have somebody help you with setup, because I remember growing up in this, like there was a couple of guys that knew suspension, and if you didn't know them, you were kind of like, good luck,
Right.
Good luck figuring out. And especially buggies, because buggies have very specific traits, and per the builder, those traits change. So setup is huge with buggies.
Yeah.
Attention race fans. Unlimited off-road racing returns to Parker, Arizona with the second annual Parker 400, Wednesday, January 15th through Sunday the 19th. Bring your friends and family to kick off the start of the 2025 race season. Come meet your favorite drivers, see the latest and greatest off-road products on the market at the Parker Downtown Experience, and witness 3 days of non-stop door-to-door racing. Check theparker400.com for more information. The Parker 400 returns.
Yeah. So, why'd you choose the buggy route? That was just what you were introduced to?
Yeah. I did have a 5 Unlimited for a while, and I didn't like the beam front end. I didn't like all the parts that you have to replace all the time.
Yeah.
And I sold that. I think I did one race. I did race my 3000 car down at Seder down there, Puerto Penasco.
Oh, nice.
Against 5 Unlimited, because there was no 3000. And they're like, yeah, you can ride with a 5 Unlimited. I'm like, okay. And I actually raced against my old car, my 5 Unlimited car down there, and I blew past all of them there, all protested. And so they still gave me a trophy because I won down there, but they got their own little trophy. But yeah, 5 Unlimiteds, I'm not interested in the beam front end.
Yeah.
The limited.
It's a style. It's interesting because like the guys who are in those, like we're good friends with the Negretti family, like they love them. Right. Yeah. And then, there's other people who are like, listen, if it doesn't have an arm, I don't want to touch it, So like all those idiosyncrasies within the different classes, I think are really cool. And, but I like I like the stylistic differences of like getting in a car and going, okay, this is a beam car. I have to drive it differently. The setup's different. And here's what it's capable of. Here's what it's not capable of. We had a guy that came and raced class 11 at the California 300, and man, he hit Barstow, Maine, and was just skipping this thing right over those big holes. And pretty wild to see, class 11 do that well through those style of bumps.
Yeah, those 11 cars were moving.
Yeah,
and I'm like, Fox was just ripping out there. One thing, once you do ride in different cars, like when I first started class 10, and I'm going fast, and I got people blowing by me. I'm like, I don't know. I'm driving this car as fast as I can go. I don't think I can go any faster. Maybe I'm in the wrong class.
Yeah.
And then you hop in a class 10 or a class 1, and then pretty soon I'm doing 137 down at Prim,
right?
Down the where the pits are, and then I'm hitting 137 before that big right that goes out in the dry lake bed. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see anything over 137 again.
Yeah.
I really don't want to get in a trophy truck, maybe a spec truck, but there's just the funding. It's like, I know I can compete at pretty much any level that I can, that my body can take it.
Sure.
It's just the money thing. It's like trophy trucks are, they're on a whole nother level.
Yeah. It gets expensive quick. Yeah.
The 1600s, Tyler Peterson, he's like, hey, you want to go do a lap with me? This is I think 2 years ago. And let's do it. And I hopped in his car, and about a mile in, I'm like, get me the frick out of this car.
Yeah.
And I did the whole loop, and it was 40-some miles.
Yeah.
And I got out, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how you 1600 guys do this, because my whole body was numb.
Yeah.
It just beats the crap out of you.
No, they're gnarly. I mean, that's one of the things, too, that I love about off-road racing is, some of the lower classes like 16, like, man, you got to freaking earn it, and I got a lot of respect for those guys, especially the ones that are prepping and racing and so on, like it's really cool to see that continue.
Yeah. The 1600 guys, they are my heroes out there, because they're going fast.
Yep.
And they can tip over at any time. I mean, you just got to keep it square, and they're just bouncing down the road. And a lot of them are like me. I mean, I don't pay people to work on my stuff. Every once in a while, it's like, okay, can you do this car? Good buddy of mine will help me out. But it's like most of the time, I mean, I learned from, that first 3000 car tearing shit apart. And it's like, okay, you got to clock the CVs. I didn't even know what a freaking CV was when I bought the car. It's like, I just want to go drive the thing, and then you break stuff. I mean, before the Mint 400, I was down at Parker. I'm like, I got to drive this thing before I go race it. And I went over this little jump and I snapped an axle. I'm like, shit, what do I do? Where do I get this part from?
Right.
Had no idea. What's CarTech? Who's Mike?
Right.
And Mike at CarTech's been helping me out the whole time. The guy's just wonderful. And I can call him up. Hey, what do you think about this? And it's like, the whole industry, they're here to help. All the class 10 guys that I race against, most of them are great. I mean, they're here to help you. And it's like, I try to give that back to them. It's like, all the 10 guys like, hey, watch out for this hole. Like Eric, I really showed up, and he goes, dude, I got to go to the dunes and shoot this shot. And I'm not even going to go through the whole course. I'm like, okay, well, I'll give you my lead nav, let you look, and I'll tell you, watch this and I'll watch that. But it's just fun.
The community of off-road racing culture is really cool. Like the camaraderie, and like everybody wants to help, and guys will, help you with your car and parts and food. And, that's one of the things I love the most about this culture is like, it is a tight knit community where in general, everybody's friendly. Everybody wants to see people come in and have a good experience. I think that's one of the things about being a racer is like, you want to beat your friends, like you want to go to battle and then have a beer with everybody afterwards and be friendly about it. Like, hey, I kicked your ass today, but tomorrow you might be kicking my ass,
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that I love the most about our culture is like that camaraderie and like, like you said, like Mike at CarTech, like he doesn't have to do that. He could just be like, hey, dude, figure it out. It's your problem. But it's good customer service, and you could tell guys like that actually care.
Yeah. And like getting back to Mike, he's like, I would order parts online, and then you check down at the box who helped you, and you click on Mike, and all of a sudden, you get a call in a couple hours. Hey, you don't want this part. You want this part. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That's huge.
Like most guys would just like ship it out, and then you get it, and then you got to wait another week, and then. But yeah, he takes time. He looks at he knows what you're racing, what you got. So
yeah,
it's just crazy that the people in the industry that want to help you out.
Yeah, no, it is. There's a lot of them. Sponsors, racers, mechanics. Everybody is really cool.
Yeah.
So so now you're over in Arizona, right?
Yep.
And so how's that been moving to Arizona? Is it giving you more connection to off-roading, or is it?
Yeah, I got the McMullins right down the street. Kevin's helped me out with a transmission. Connor's that dude's just a phenom driver.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for his future now that he's in a truck. I hope that he gets the sponsor support that he really deserves, because that kid's been running on, no budget and doing so well. I mean, he won he won Parker last year in his buggy, which, it surprised me, but it was funny going into that race, because I was pointing out, like, this is because it's long and fast. This is one of the races that, a buggy can still win overall, and he sure as hell did it.
Yeah. I'm glad he's out of Class 10.
Yeah.
It opens up one more spot.
Yeah, exactly.
But, he's the kid, he can drive.
Yeah.
He can drive.
That's got to be cool, though, like, now, so your transaxle's done by the McMullins?
Yeah, he had one for sale, and I blew the motor. I think my motor was kind of sour when I bought the Class 1 car, and I podiumed a couple times with that car on the shorter courses, of course. And then I finally blew the motor at Glen Helen. There was oil just everywhere. I'm like, well, motor's got to come out. About time to change this. It had a 4-speed, the big old HD tranny that weighs a lot. And Kevin had a transmission there and sequential, so I had to take the clutch pedal out, which is weird. So now it's just you just give it gas and go, and it's different driving that way, because you have the transaxle and you let off the gas and it'll immediately slow the car down. Well, this doesn't slow down now; it just keeps going. So I had to relearn. Coming into corners, I gotta you're using more brake and stuff. It's a fun car. I still like the Class 10. I like the Class 10 guys. Like competing against them. Now we got razors. I mean, they're right here. Like, I was at King of the Hammers 2 years ago, and I'm like, dude, these razors are here. Like,
yeah.
They're finally, they're getting their belt temperatures handled. The Pro R is just, bigger belt and all that. And then the Can-Ams with a clutch, or with the transmission now. But I can't wait for another 5 years to see where they're at, because they're just leaps and bounds. I had two of the first 800s, and you hit a little pebble, and all of a sudden your tire's up in their wheel well.
Yeah.
Like we'd take one and put it on the back of the other and tow it back and go to town, get some parts and fix it up. But they've come a long ways. Yeah,
UTVs have come a long ways. It's interesting though too to see the evolution and see like them borrow technology that was proven with Class 10 cars and Class 1 cars, in lots of different facets, and implement that into UTVs that you can buy at the dealership, right? Like, it's pretty impressive. So when you went to sequential shifting, how hard of a transition? Because I know a lot of guys, because they're used to clutch and being able to throw it into corners and downshift and all that, like then they switch to sequential and it really throws them for a loop.
Yeah, well, my one car has the torque converter on it, so I mean you can drive around all day in third and fourth gear. You're just doing that. That's my 10 car. You're still banging gears. It's funny because when I first started, I was out in /X race, And I actually got that car to 107 with a 5-speed H pattern. And then that was with a non-DI motor. It's like the car would move. And then I went through all this evolution of making the car lighter, faster, put a DI motor in there and a sequential tranny. And Adam Wicks helped me out with that, great guy, and put one of his motors in there. And with the shifting on a 10 car, I mean, I can do the no lift shift on my new 10 car, but it's like I'm good. Like I don't need to make up that little bit of time.
Sure. It's
like I want to save the transmission. I'm a one-man band. I got to pull that tranny out after the race or after 3 or 4 races or whatever I think I can. I'm throwing the coin where I'm a gambler. And it's like, okay, I think you can last another race. Change the fluids and let's go. Kind of like Braden Baker. Just you can't change the whole car. There's guys that will change every nut and bolt every car. Every race. I can't do that.
Right.
I don't have the time. I don't have the money to do that. So it's like I'm gonna do the critical things that I've learned over the years of my short career of what can break, and that's what I'm going to fix, lube, whatever, and go out and try to take care of the car. I'll have guys. I'm up at Laughlin. I've got 2 guys. There's a picture of me coming off the jumps by the school right there, and my car's up like this because I knew there was a big hole, but I got to go, and I got 2 guys right here. And so the car's, I'm sitting in the car like this. Finally, I let them by. I'm like, dude, you guys go. And then I was just right behind them, let them know that I'm still here, and they're blowing the corners. And pretty soon, one's up and over the corner, and then I pass the other one going up the hill. But it's little stuff like that. You don't need to hit every corner as fast as you can. Putting that much wear and tear in your transmission, unless that's the last race for that tranny. Then yeah, let's go for it. Let's put it out there. But normally you can just back off a little bit, and they're going to start picking themselves off.
Yeah, it's crazy how much that's part of the strategy of save your equipment, make sure that you're good, for those last laps, is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, the 300, like I said, we qualified last because I threw a belt, got a rock chucked up in there. And then I'm sitting at the line, I'm like, okay, I got 7 or 6 guys in front of me, I'm starting 7th. And then I've got freaking 50 racers behind me. 10 of those guys are going to be coming up, knocking on my door. And I really didn't want that pressure. So I'm like, let's just, normally you'd go out and let's try to fill the first lap out. But I did my homework. I've been there since Tuesday. I pre-ran the crap out of that course. I know the course. You throw dust at me and I know it. Even a single seater, you look down, GPS every once in a while. Don't spend a whole lot of time looking down because, you're doing 90 to 100 miles an hour and all it takes is one little rock, and you're out of the race. So I decided to go on the first lap, and I got the fastest lap out of Class 10s. I would have had the fastest lap if we wouldn't come in the pit, and I drink of water and all that kind of crap. So I would have had the fastest overall lap. But that race, all the cards are just right there.
Yeah,
it just happened, and luck is a lot of racing. You can be the fastest guy out there, have the best pit crew out there, have the best car out there, and if you get 6 flats, you hit this rock by a centimeter, it's like all of a sudden you're back, you're down, you're in 5th, 6th place, you're not on the podium anymore. It's like if you have that luck and you miss that rock, and dude, I had a flat just as I'm ready to head back out in the desert, and I pull up and my pit guys are right there. It's like, that's luck. That's not, we didn't plan that. And that was my only official flat, out there. And it's like, that's pretty cool. This day went really well.
Yeah. It's nice when everything aligns in your favor, right?
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, cool. One for me instead of the other way around.
Yeah. I've several races, that you get taken out by a nut and a bolt coming off. It's like, damn, okay, no, Loctite the whole car. We're checking the whole car now. But it's like, unless you have, 10 friends that come out every night, you don't have that luxury of checking everything. So you're driving around like this, tapping on the hood, last lap, come on, baby, just make it, one more lap.
Sure.
And it comes through. I finished a few races, Laughlin on my little 3000 car. I had no tire left in the last lap. I went the whole lap with no rear tire, and I'm just out there okay, last lap, let's go. And people are picking me up, but I still, finished in podium. So, if that flat would have happened 2 laps earlier, who knows what would happen.
Yeah, you'd have been done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, how the chaos theory of it's just roulette. It makes it exciting because, like, you can go in as planned as you want, and a rock could happen, a mistake, $2, $5 par, whatever it is, right? Fails and that ruins your day, but that's part of it.
Yeah, I was. We're headed to the drivers' meeting at one of the races. I think it was Prim, and I played slot machines there. They were a little early, and I had a $500,000 jackpot, whatever the hell it was. It was money, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I walk in, I sit down beside my buddies from Havasu, and they're like, so we have a little special thing from BF Goodrich, a voucher. I don't know, it was like $700 and something, and then they're calling out the number, and they're going 1-0, and I said 5-5, and they said 5-5, and boom, I hit that $700. I hit that jackpot. I'm like, and then I won. I think I won the race that next day.
Nice.
And it's like, so there is luck. You just gotta feel that you're, I don't know if it's weird, but it's like, when you're gonna, stuff like that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It is the chaos theory of but also staying in the game, right? Yeah. Like it's like you can't quit and have good luck.
Yeah.
You got to stay in it.
Attention, Off-Road Nation. It's time to prepare for war. The Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship comes ripping through Parker, Vegas, Reno, and Barstow in 2025. The biggest, baddest, and most prestigious desert off-road championship in the sport just got bigger. It all starts with the return of the Parker 400, January 15th to the 19th in beautiful Parker, Arizona. Then, it's the Super Bowl of off-road racing. The BF Goodrich Tires Mint 400 takes over Las Vegas March 5th through the 9th. Next, mark your calendars. It's a brand new race. The inaugural Reno 600 is coming this spring. Over 600 miles of Nevada desert racing. And finally, it's the exciting conclusion of the Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship, the 4th Annual California 300 in Barstow, California, October 1st to the 5th. Visit unlimitedoffroadracing.com for complete details. The 2025 Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship is coming. The future is unlimited.
What do you think it is? Obviously you were talking about the competitiveness, and the adrenaline rush, but this isn't easy, right? What do you think it is that drives you to be involved in this?
Just want to win.
Yeah.
It's winning. It's like winning at life. This is a part of, you go out and it's like, you're only as good as your last race. And there's my trophy. I brought it in. So hopefully you can sign it for me, because this is kind of where I started.
Sure.
It's your little win. Everybody finds what they like to do, and they try to win at that. Whether it's I did construction for a while, my company anyway, and you bid jobs, and you're like, yeah, I just got that. I beat that guy. Now let's go. Let's look at the plans and specs and try to make some money on this job. And then you find this and this and this, and then you get change orders, and that was winning back then. This is a whole nother level. Crazy, but yeah, the industry is wild. I just wish we had more property out there to tear up.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because we've got a lot of land out there that we have access to, so we'll keep doing it. That's a really good analogy, between business and racing. I think more people need to understand that, this is such a rewarding thing to be a part of, right? Yeah. Because it is difficult, right? If it was easy, if you could just drive around, there's no rocks, there's no whatever, it would be, it'd be pretty boring. It wouldn't mean as much.
Yeah. The going out cruising with friends is not exciting for me anymore, just because I've raced.
Yeah.
You're basically going out and just cruising. Now it's like, I don't even go fast when when I go with friends anymore. Before it's like, oh yeah, let's get to the boxes or bunker bar, wherever we're going. and let's go there fast. And now it's just like I cruise in the back. It's like it's just not fun. Once you push that envelope of racing and competing, you just open a whole new evolution of where you want to be. So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
but here's a couple quick stories for you. So there's a race, and Justin, the guy that helps me with the car and helps me win, actually, he didn't make the first corner on this race. I'm like, how does anybody do that? Well, a couple of races later, I'm at Barstow, and I think it was transaxle engineering race. I didn't make the first corner. I skied that car and smashed it, and I was out for a couple months, And so we're at the 300, and Johnny Gould is about ready to get in this truck, do his 2 laps, and before that we're talking, and he's like, dude, I don't know how you got up on that rock at Laughlin. Well, there's this at the very top of Laughlin, you're doing the pole line road all the way up as fast as you can go, and there's a little chicane section up there. Well, before you go through that, there's this rock that's up on a berm, and it was dusty, and I'm kicking through there, and I'm following the guy, and I thought I was shooting through the little gap, and you make a right. Well, I missed it by about 4 feet. My 10 car's sitting up there. And he's like, I don't know how you did that. And then he gets in his truck, and then he's like on his first lap, I believe I did a little video on him, and he settled up on a big old rock. He took the corner a little wide, and so I'm like, dude, now you know. Well, you just not jinxed yourself, but something happened there where you're like, so I got to watch what I say, because, didn't make the first corner. How do you make the first corner? And then I didn't make the first corner. Then he's talking about the rock, and then he ended up on a rock, and he's got the car up, and they're trying to push it, So that kind of thing just happens. You just got to, watch what you say when you're racing.
Sure.
And, just go out and try to win.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because, like, I think that it's easy to, be Monday quarterback and look at things and be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. But then when you hear the circumstance of, like, hey, I was in dust, or like the truck was getting out of shape and I was trying to gather it up and I ended up in the wrong line and so on, like, there's more to it, right? Because I've done things like that where I'm like, I look at mistakes people have made and I'm like, that is a big mistake. Like, how do you do that? And then the other part of it is adrenaline, right? Like, we were talking about this earlier about Parker in particular, of like, Parker is a smooth race course.
Yeah.
There's a couple of spots where you really have to check up. The Rock Garden, there's a few big G outs, a few rocky areas, but overall it's a smooth race course, right? So, what I was shocked with last year is how many people immediately took themselves out, lap 1. And it's part of it is, okay, cool, we've had a break. Prep on the vehicle might not be 100%, whatever it is. And then, the flag drops and adrenaline takes over, and all your, theories and all the things that you had planned go out the window because you're racing, right? And that it feels good, right? It feels good to, like, get out in front of a guy and be like, all right, I got him, and da-da-da-da-da. But, like, not if that is going to, cause you to miss a corner or cause you to, damage the car or whatever, right? So you have to be, it's a hard thing. It's, I know personally, like, probably the most I lose it at any given time is when I get past. If I get past, I'm like, okay, we got to get this back and, like, get it back as quick as possible, right? Which isn't always the right move to do. The right move to do is to gather yourself and go, like, all right, where are we at, right? But once somebody gets one over on you, then I'm like, oh God, I got to get this guy, So I think the mental side of off-road racing is a big thing.
Yeah. Single seater, if these guys that have navigators, like, there's a couple that are great out there. You wonder how good they would really do in a single seater, because you're in dust and you don't have a lot of time to, like, look at the screen and you got a left, right coming up. Lead nav is probably the best invention in the last 5 years for me.
Totally.
Last 2 years I've been using it a lot, and I pre-run it a lot, and I've learned how to go and edit it and at least do the bad sections. That's the first thing that I'll mark. I don't want to be doing 90 miles an hour and hit something that just kick me over and over. Been there, done that. So the lead nav on a single seater, if it's working, it's like you got your co-drivers right there. So
are you playing the audible version of it?
Yep.
Nice.
Crank it up. Got the cups on. Rugged radio set me up with some nice cups in my helmet, and that thing just screaming at me. Left turn, right turn. I mean, whatever I throw at it, and it's just. I'm gonna use it for my Class 1 car also. You got somebody sitting there looking at the screen, which is great, but your notes are in there talking to you also. So
that's. I mean, do you like pre-running?
I have to pre-run. If you just show up and like you're gonna wad your car up. You can't do. There's a race coming up next week, and there's no pre-running allowed, and I don't like that, just because we're out doing 100 miles an hour or faster. Some of these trophy trucks are 135, 140 miles an hour. If you hit the wrong little G out and it's not on that thing, you're going for a ride, and you're probably going to go to the helicopter next. So pre-running, I mean, at your race, I pre-ran every day. Every day that you let me pre-ran, I went out there and just pre-ran. That's the only way that you can actually get better. Is your homework. You got to do your homework. You got to know what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's our mindset, is that, in particular, people have different styles of note taking, right? And like I've experienced it where somebody hands me their notes and I'm like, I don't know what this means, right? So for me, I want to go out there, and depending on the vehicle that I'm racing, I want to make notes specifically for that type of vehicle, right? And the way that I drive, right? And so I think giving people that opportunity, it's safer, number one, but it also encourages the evolution of racecraft, right? Of like, this is part of it. This is part of off-road racing, is understanding, how to drive to notes, and whether it's a co-driver giving it to you or whether you're reading it on GPS, like how far can you push, right? And what is that, determining that, and how do you note that, right? Like it was interesting to see, we did a lot in rally. And so, we did a lot of work with BJ early on, and he was, adapting rally notes to off-road racing, and he has like his whole hybrid system. And there's a few guys that do that as well, that have gone through different rally schools, or raced rally and done that. So, everybody's got their own style of notes, and I think it's important that they get out there and see the course and understand what they're going to be racing on.
Yeah, I wish I could go to a school to learn how to drive. I mean, I'm self-taught basically. There's no co-driver beside me telling me what to do. Probably comes from the time out at my dad's auto wrecking yard, 90 acres and just rows of cars, and I'd find a car that ran, and I'd go fix it up and go ripping around the dirt. So that's pretty much my school. And it's weird going and riding with the younger drivers and trying to teach them, like, you're thinking, what should I tell them? Use all the course, use the berms. And, other than that, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing out there. I'm just pushing that pedal down and trying to run smart.
Well, it's funny because a lot of people have learned, by doing, right? And learn how to corner and carry your momentum through a corner, because the car you're driving is a piece of shit and it'll get stuck, right? So I think that what I've learned with rally school is that it's not that it necessarily teaches you new stuff. It teaches you what that stuff is called, and the why, right? And it goes, oh, this is how to properly apex a corner, but that changes the dynamics of that change radically in what we do, because is that corner rocky? Does it have rocks on the outside? Do you want to cut it more on the inside because you might get a flat? Is it a sand rut, with rocks buried into it? Or is it a sand rut with no rocks, right? Is it silt? Is it embedded rock? Like, there's so many variables in off-road. I don't think there's necessarily a right way. It's a right way for the condition, for the vehicle, for even your tire type, right? Like, I remember explaining to Killian, like, he was asking me, why do class 11s and buggies do so well through some terrain? and other vehicles get stuck. And I'm like, look at their tire. Their tire is only this big.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like a pizza cutter going right through everything. And, he had to like stop and think about that and be like, oh, I guess that would be better because you're not trying to shove this big surface area through silt, for example. Right. Like I'm always amazed at like 16 cars and 11s and those guys. And like, you're like, you just powered through this thing in a pre-runner and you're like, we pretty much got stuck and, we were slowly getting out of it. And then you see a 16 car come through and go, right through it like a little billy goat. Right. Yeah. So I think that's the interesting thing about, learning is like, you start with all these and like you're talking about, being a kid and running around a junkyard and, driving different vehicles. I mean, one of the experiences that I had really young was similar in that, I drove a lot of crappy vehicles because that's all I could afford. So very quickly, I'm like, okay, this is a front wheel drive car. And these are the properties of front wheel drive car. And, all the kid stuff like, hey, if we want to do donuts, you got to do them backwards this, right? and then, this is, something that like a truck that has a drive shaft and rear wheel drive and, and so on. And then 4-wheel drive and live axles and, learning about all that stuff. Because then when you get into a race car, you're like, okay, I have an idea of what the capabilities of this car are based on the build of this car, right? I know it's not going to do what a 4-wheel drive car can do. I've got to drive it accordingly. So, yeah, it's funny because, like, there's a style of racing that they do in Norway predominantly and some of the Norwegian countries where they go out and they race, mostly the kids race the junk cars out in fields, right? And it's part of the reason why they produce such good drivers out of that region is they start very young,
right?
And they learn like, hey, if I don't carry my momentum through this corner, I'm going to be super slow on the exit of it. So they learn all that stuff at a very young age and then start kart racing, then, some of them now end up in Formula One, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be nice if there was just like a big junkyard of off-road cars that everybody could go to and get some lessons at, right?
Yeah, I know my 210 cars that I had, the Penn Hall and this Jimco, this Jimco's a mid-engine, so I've got more weight up front. 10 car, my Penn Hall, I would treat it like a 250 motorcycle, just come in hot, hit the corner and go. Well, this car here, I can carry it a lot more. It actually turns in the corners a lot better. So learning that car, hopefully, in the next couple of races I got lucky. I got everything just went together, right? But hopefully we'll learn the car and stay up there.
Well, the Jimco chassis, the Jimco car has is legendary in 10 and 1 car for sure. I mean, they've won, I don't even know how many championships at this point, so that's definitely a good vehicle platform.
This car, there's so much electronics in that car compared to my other car. Wasn't, it was all gauges, and I didn't look at any of the gauges anyway because last time I looked at a gauge, I was, flying upside down. So, but yeah, this car is, it's amazing. It feels good. I like sitting in it. It feels like a winning car. So hopefully we can learn how to drive it better. Then, we did pretty good. Got lucky, but hopefully we keep it on the podium.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you will. It's one of those things where like when you have a victory like this, then you can build on it, right? Whereas, it's hard to build on DNFs or just kind of wing nut victories. It's just that incremental improvement.
Right.
Nice.
Yep.
Any other good war stories?
You know what? I brought a bunch of pictures to refresh my memory. That's when I bought the car. And there's the mint.
Right into the deep end.
Winning. Oh, here you go. So this is Caliente. That's a Class 1 car that wouldn't move over for me. So we ended up going through the water.
Yeah.
And we just sent a wave of water. Me and my son were in that car. And we got first place in that. We sent a bunch of water in their cabs. So that was a good picture there.
Nice.
There's Laughlin. There's a picture of the 3000 car that we finished at Laughlin with no tire. that ended up
on the rim.
Yeah, I made that a trophy for a friend of mine, and that's when I had new suspension on there, and it wasn't set up correctly. So,
Yeah,
all those guys that want to just buy new shiny shocks and put them on and go, this is what'll happen to you.
it didn't work out so well.
Oh, so this is the water race at Laughlin.
Yeah,
I think it was Best in the Desert. I'm pretty sure, and so many guys got stuck in corners in the MG car, and it was helicopters up. And just as they were filming that, I was coming up, and then they cut the feed. But I came up, and I was way wide, and there was probably 3 feet of water in this corner.
Oh, wow.
And it sucked me in, and I was headed right for him, and I'm banging down gears and trying to get through the water, and I'm almost on top of him. Well, my left rear hit his front, and we almost hooked, but I was just barely past it. Went through, there was water coming over the hood. That was Saturday. Finished the race third, and then I'm like, dude, I'm sitting third. I'm gonna throw a spare tire in the back. I'm gonna just like try to preserve my car because I'm already sitting third. I just need to finish, Sunday with good time. Just kind of like I want to get on the podium. I don't care about first. I just want a podium.
Right.
And ended up getting a third on Sunday with a heavy spare tires. Nobody runs spares, at Laughlin. And but that race there was probably my funnest race because it was just downpouring. I knew it was going to rain. I threw a rain suit on, so I was dry. I hit the first corner, and all of a sudden, instantly, my mask goes just fogged because my pumper was in the air or in the water, and it just
it sucked in moisture.
So I flipped the thing up, and I'm eating rocks from the dude that got in front of me, and yeah, the whole race I'm digging rocks out after the race, but it was probably the funnest race ever. And it's just like, you're a kid and you go out there and you find this grass hill and you're sliding down it on your tennis shoes when it's wet out. That's the same thing, in the water race. It was just like, it was fun. It's like, I shouldn't have finished. And I finished and I did pretty damn good, and like half the racers didn't even finish. So pretty amazing.
Yeah. Those ones that, turn into just total battles. Sometimes those are just more fun, just getting to the finish line than it is necessarily winning.
So that's my rock incident, top of at Laughlin, and I was stuck there. And typical me, I was trying to make the car light, so I kicked out the tow rope, which probably weighed a half a pound.
Right.
And there was guys there they're doing the checkpoint. They were like, dude, we'd pull you up, but we don't have a tow rope. So I could have actually pulled out, and I kept going. But yeah. So I did learn there's a lesson for every race you race, and that lesson that day was just keep the damn tow rope in the car. It's like, you're trying to shave, 2 pounds here, 3 pounds there, and I mean the car is fast, but
nice.
Yep.
Every race there's a lesson to be learned. I like that one. But
yeah,
no.
Just a lot of memories, and good thing I have photos for all of them because when you're out there battling, you lose track of, oh shit, I just, I passed this dude, but we almost, and the car came up like this, and you forget stuff. And then,
it's crazy because like during a race, so many things happen. And then everybody's like, well, what was your race like? And you're like, well, I've been racing for 6 hours. There's a lot of stuff that happened. Right. So it's definitely hard. And then you go back and either look at video or you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that happened on lap 2. Right. So, I mean, it's like living fast forward for sure. Yeah.
And my buddy Scotty Dog, because Scotty Dog.
Oh, yeah.
He's a character.
Yeah.
Love the guy. He was with me and Justin.
Yeah.
So all three of us kind of drove at the Mint in our 3000 car. We won that was that 3 years ago?
Yeah.
4 years ago, something like that. So that was fun. Now he's off doing his thing with Nitro Circus. So it's great to see him. He got it on the podium.
Yeah. He's been racing
place.
Class 11. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I've never seen the Class 11s up close until we were at last weekend at Laughlin.
Yeah.
And those things are just ripping. I'm like, these things are freaking fast.
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, for what the vehicle is and what it's capable of, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
I've raced them before, both in the States and in Mexico, and they're deceivingly fun. Like, especially after you get to a certain level and you look at it and you're like, okay, this is vintage. You're going back in time, really. But then you drive it, and you're smiling ear to ear, right? Like you're just having the best time. You know what it's capable of is pretty surprising once you get into them and drive them. And then too, like one of the races I raced in down near Mexicali, those guys are so good. The Mexican racers are so good. You're like, what am I doing wrong that this guy is getting me in every corner? You know, so it's cool to see that.
Yeah.
Well, right on. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming down and doing this. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Hopefully we had at least 30 minutes of content there.
Oh, yeah. We definitely did. Awesome. Thank you.